It's September the 27th. Let's read the Bible. Welcome back, friends, to this year-long journey from Genesis to Revelation in just 1 year. I want to say thank you for your prayers and thank you for your comments on Facebook and YouTube and Rumble. I do read them all. A few weeks ago, we were in 1 Corinthians, and I made some comments about spiritual gifts in light of 1 Corinthians 13, the love chapter. The greatest of these is love. It reminds me of, let me read the comment, then I'll tell you what it reminds me of. So someone just wrote and said, I love this lesson today. I once asked a very wise teacher, how do I teach all the material I have to the children? I just want them to learn it all. How do I teach them? She smiled and replied, love them, just love them. Best advice I ever received about teaching Sunday school. That's not just for Sunday school. Wonderful comment, by the way. Thank you very much. But it's not just for Sunday school or small groups. Every pastor ought to remember, it isn't about the impartation of information, as important as that is. Love them, just love them. If they know that we love them, they are much more likely to hear what we have to say. What is required to be a spiritual leader, an effective communicator? Well, there are three things that will make you effective in the service of the Lord. The first is love, the second is love, and the third is love. So we want to keep that in mind. And anyway, it's my way of saying thank you for your kind comments. Now, we're in the book of Isaiah. And remember the two parts. I'm just jumping here, from about 740 BC to 680 BC, that's about 60 years. Isaiah ministered to the people. I think primarily to the southern two tribes, Judah and Benjamin. I think that primarily that was it. But he also had some things to say to the northern 10 tribes who were carried away into captivity by the Assyrians in 722 BC. So you've got denunciation, chapters 1 through 39, and then you've got comfort, chapters 40 through 66. So today we're starting this second part, first half, condemnation, denunciation, chapters 1 through 12, primarily God's judgment on Judah. But now, starting in chapter 13, and I think going up through chapter 23, we're going to see a series of pronouncements, God judging the surrounding pagan nations and empires. So today we're going to see in chapters, I've got my trusty Ryrie Study Bible right here, and he just makes it easy. Denunciations against other nations, against Babylon, against Assyria, against Philistia, the Philistines, and against Moab. So we're going to begin to read, and we're going to see what God has to say to the pagan nations surrounding his sinning people. Lord, open our eyes that we might behold amazing things from your word. Isaiah 13, a pronouncement against Babylon, a pronouncement concerning Babylon that Isaiah, son of Amoz, saw. Lift up a banner on a barren mountain, call out to them, signal with your hand, and they will go through the gates of the nobles. I have commanded my consecrated ones. Yes, I have called my warriors who celebrate my triumph to execute my wrath. Listen, a commotion on the mountains like that of a mighty people. Listen, an uproar among the kingdoms like nations being gathered together. The Lord of armies is mobilizing an army for war. They are coming from a distant land, from the farthest horizon. The Lord and the weapons of his wrath to destroy the whole country. Wail, for the day of the Lord is near. It will come as destruction from the Almighty. Therefore, everyone's hands will become weak, and every man will lose heart. They will be horrified. Pain and agony will seize them. They will be in anguish like a woman in labor. They will look at each other, their faces flushed with fear. Look, the day of the Lord is coming, cruel with fury and burning anger, to make the earth a desolation and to destroy its sinners. Did you get that? To make the earth a desolation and to destroy its sinners. Indeed, the stars of the sky and its constellations will not give their light. The sun will be dark when it rises. The moon will not shine. I will punish the world for its evil and wicked people for their iniquities. I will put an end to the pride of the arrogant and humiliate the insolence of tyrants. I will make a human more scarce than fine gold, and mankind more rare than the gold of Ophir. Therefore I will make the heavens tremble, and the earth will shake from its foundations at the wrath of the Lord of armies. On the day of his burning anger, like wandering gazelles and like sheep without a shepherd, each one will turn to his own people, and one will flee to his own land. Whoever is found will be stabbed. Whoever is caught will die by the sword. Their children will be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Let me just stop here and say, you ought to read Psalm 137, a psalm written by the people in Babylon, the Jewish people in Babylon in exile. I hung my harp on the willow tree. They said to us, sing me a song of Zion. We couldn't. How could we? We were heartbroken what had happened. But at the end, blessed is he who takes your children, infants, and dashes them upon the rocks. Look what Isaiah 13 says. Their children will be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses will be looted, their wives raped. This is what happened when the Medo-Persian armies came and destroyed the Babylonian Empire. Look, verse 17, I'm stirring up the Medes against them, who cannot be bought off with silver, who have no desire for gold. Their bows will cut young men to pieces. They will have no compassion on offspring. They will not look with pity on children. And Babylon, the jewel of the kingdoms, the glory, the pride of the Chaldeans, will be like Sodom and Gomorrah when God overthrew them. It will never be inhabited or lived in from generation to generation. A nomad will not pitch his tent there, and shepherds will not let their flocks rest there, but desert creatures will lie down there, and owls will fill the houses. Ostriches will dwell there, and wild goats will leap about. Hyenas will howl in the fortresses, and jackals in the luxurious palaces. Babylon's time is almost up. Her days are almost over. That was literally fulfilled. We're not to the book of Daniel yet, but we're going to see more about this when we get to Daniel. This is God using one group of pagans, the Medes, Medo-Persian Empire, God using one group of pagans to judge another. Now, still chapter 14, we're still talking about Babylon. For the Lord will have compassion on Jacob and will choose Israel again. He will settle them on their own land. The resident alien will join them and be united with the house of Jacob. The nations will escort Israel and bring it to its homeland. Then the house of Israel will possess them as male and female slaves in the Lord's land. They will make captives of their captors and will rule over their oppressors. When the Lord gives you rest from your pain, torment, and the hard labor you were forced to do, you will sing this song of contempt about the king of Babylon and say, I want you to listen. Tell me if you hear something here. This is God saying to the Jewish people, here's the song you're going to sing when Babylon falls, how the oppressor has quieted down, and how the raging has become quiet. The Lord has broken the staff of the wicked, the scepter of the rulers. It struck the peoples in anger with unceasing blows. It subdued the nations in rage with relentless persecution. The whole earth is calm and at rest. People shout with a ringing cry. Even the cypresses and the cedars of Lebanon rejoice over you, since you have been laid low. No lumberjack has come against us. Sheol, this is the realm of the dead. Sheol below is eager to greet your coming, stirring up the spirits of the departed for you. All the rulers of the earth, making all the kings of the nations rise from their thrones, they all respond to you saying, you too have become as weak as we are. This is the other pagan kings. The Babylonians had defeated all these nations, and now Babylon itself has been defeated and the king has gone down. Remember Belshazzar? Remember the handwriting on the wall? King has gone down. You too. Now they're saying, you conquered us. But look at verse 10. You too have become as weak as we are. You've become like us. Your splendor has been brought down to Sheol along with the music of your harps. Maggots are spread out under you and worms cover you. Verse 12, shining morning star or day star, star of the morning. How you have fallen from the heavens, you destroyer of nations. You've been cut down to the ground. You said to yourself, I will ascend to the heavens. I will set up my throne above the stars of God. I will sit on the mount of the God's assembly in the remotest parts of the north. I will ascend above the highest clouds. I will make myself like the Most High, but you will be brought down to Sheol, into the deepest regions of the pit. Remind you of anything? Make you think of anything? This is a description of the king of Babylon, who was arrogant and proud and thought he could take the place of God. Remember Nebuchadnezzar, Daniel 4, is not this mighty Babylon which I have made by my own power for my own glory? He should never talk like that. And he wasn't the only one. What is this a picture of? Theologians, Christians have often seen in this, it applies literally to the king of Babylon, but behind it, I think, is Lucifer. Lucifer, who rebelled against God before time began. And he and a third of the angels were cast out of heaven. He became the devil of hell. I think we're seeing two things at once. The king of Babylon, but through the lens of this judgment, this is what happened back in the beginning. Those who see you will stare at you. They will look closely at you. Is this the man who caused the earth to tremble, who shook the kingdoms, who turned the world into a wilderness, who destroyed its cities and would not release the prisoners to return home? All the kings of the nations lie in splendor, each in his own tomb, but you were thrown out without a grave, like a worthless branch, covered by those slain with the sword and dumped into a rocky pit like a trampled corpse. You will not join them in burial because you destroyed your land and slaughtered your own people. The offspring of evildoers will never be mentioned again. Prepare a place of slaughter for his sons because of the iniquity of their ancestors. They will never rise up to possess a land or fill the surface of the earth with cities. I will rise up against them. This is the declaration of the Lord of armies, and I will cut off from Babylon her reputation, remnant, offspring, and posterity. This is the Lord's declaration. I will make her a swampland and a region for herons, and I will sweep her away with the broom of destruction. I love these images. The broom of destruction. This is the declaration of the Lord of armies. Now, Assyria, the Lord of armies has sworn, as I have purposed, so it will be, as I planned it, so it will happen. I will break Assyria in my land. I will tread him down on my mountain. Then his yoke will be taken from them, and his burden will be lifted from their shoulders. This is the plan prepared for the whole earth. This is the hand stretched out against all the nations. The Lord of armies himself has planned it. Therefore, who can stand in its way? It is his hand that is outstretched, so who can turn it back? Now, Philistines. In the year that King Ahaz died, this pronouncement came, don't rejoice, all you in Philistia, because the rod of the one who struck you is broken. For a viper will come from the root of a snake, and from its egg comes a flying serpent. Then the firstborn of the poor will be well fed, and the impoverished will lie down in safety. But I will kill your root with hunger, and your remnant will be slain. Wail, you gates, cry out, city, tremble with fear, all Philistia, for a cloud of dust is coming from the north, and there is no one missing from the invaders' ranks. What answer will be given to the messengers from that nation? The Lord has founded Zion, and his oppressed people find refuge in her. Chapter 15, a pronouncement against Moab, one of those regions to the east of the Dead Sea. A pronouncement concerning Moab. Ar in Moab is devastated, destroyed in a night. Kir in Moab is devastated, destroyed in a night. Dibon went up to its temple to weep at its high places. Moab wails on Nebo and at Medeba. Every head is shaved and every beard is chopped short. In its streets they wear sackcloth. On its rooftops and in its public squares everyone wails, falling down and weeping. Heshbon and Elealeh cry out. Their voices are heard as far away as Jahaz. Therefore the soldiers of Moab cry out and they tremble. My heart cries out over Moab, whose fugitives flee as far as Zoar to Eglath Shelith Hayah. They go up the ascent of Luhith weeping. They raise a cry of destruction on the road to Horonaim. The waters of Nimrim are desolate. The grass is withered, the foliage is gone, and the vegetation has vanished. So they carry their wealth and belongings over the Wadi of the Willows, for their cry echoes throughout the territory of Moab. Their wailing reaches Eglaim. Their wailing reaches Beer Elam. The waters of Dibon are full of blood. but I will bring on Dibon even more than this, a lion for those who escaped from Moab and for the survivors in the land. Chapter 16, send lambs to the ruler of the land, from Selah in the desert to the mountain of daughter Zion, like a bird fleeing forced from its nest. The daughters of Moab will be at the fords of the Arnon. Give us counsel and make a decision. Shelter us at noonday with shade that is as dark as night. Hide the refugees. Do not betray the one who flees. Let my refugees stay with you. Be a refuge from Moab, from the aggressor. When the oppressor is gone, destruction is ended, and marauders have vanished from the land. A throne will be established in love. Wow. Watch this. A throne will be established in love, and one will sit on it faithfully in the tent of David, judging and pursuing what is right, quick to execute justice. We have heard of Moab's pride, how very proud he is. His haughtiness, his pride, his arrogance, and his empty boasting. Therefore, let Moab wail. Let every one of them wail for Moab. You who are completely devastated, mourn for the raisin cakes of Kir Hareseth. For Heshbon's terraced vineyards and the grapevines of Sibmah have withered. The rulers of the nations have trampled its choice vines that reached as far as Jazer and spread to the desert. Their shoots will spread out and reach the sea. So I join with Jazer to weep for the vines of Sibmah. I drench Heshbon and Elealeh with my tears. Triumphant shouts have fallen silent over your summer fruit and your harvest. Joy and rejoicing have been removed from the orchard. No one is singing or shouting for joy in the vineyards. No one tramples grapes in the wine presses. I have put an end to the shouting. Therefore, I moan like the sound of a lyre from Moab, as does my innermost being for Kir Heres. When Moab appears and tires himself on the high place and comes to his sanctuary to pray, it will do him no good. This is the message that the Lord previously announced about Moab. And now the Lord says, in 3 years, as a hired worker counts years, Moab's splendor will become an object of contempt in spite of a very large population. And those who were left will be few and weak. We got more to come in this judgment section against the nations. This is the scales of justice. Mostly in Isaiah, it's judgment of God on his people, because they're the ones who had the covenants. They're the ones who had the promises. They're the ones who'd seen the blessings. They're the ones who'd seen the miracles. God had made them his people. And because they'd gone a-whoring after other gods and into sexual immorality and injustice and cruelty to the widows and the orphans and corruption at every level. Mostly Isaiah is concerned about that. But in this section, we're being told, though the wheels of God grind slowly, they grind exceeding small. Though with patience he stands waiting, with exactness grinds he all. Be sure your sin will find you out. Does that apply to God's people? Absolutely. Judgment begins at the house of God. It's the way it should be. Be not deceived. Just a few days ago, I read this. We read this together in Galatians. Be not deceived. God is not mocked. O Babylon, God is not mocked. O Assyria, you thought you were going to run the whole world. God is not mocked. O Philistia, O Moab. Moab, they were next door neighbors to Israel. They'd been rivals, enemies. Could have been friends, but they weren't. For all those, actually, not just generations, but for centuries. Be not deceived. God is not mocked. So let us take 2 things from this, and we shall wrap up for today. Number 1, understand our God is God of justice. Nobody gets away with anything. He's going to judge sinners, all sinners. No one escapes. If not in this life, in the life to come. That's this warning. When Moab tires himself out on the high place, and he's talking about, and comes to his sanctuary to pray, it'll do him no good. Fine. Worship your gods. Fine. It's going to do you no good. When God gets ready to move in judgment, you are going to be brought down. No more harvest, no more singing, no more shouting. It's going to be over. Wow. So that's one thing. And number 2, let us then continue to do good while we can. Do good to everybody as much as we can. And understand God's going to bring us to judgment. We must not think because we are Americans, we will not be judged. Let me tell you, America, Billy Graham used to say, God doesn't judge America. He's going to have to apologize to Sodom and Gomorrah. He's not going to have to apologize for anything. God has already judged America. Look at where we are spiritually. This is what the judgment of God looks like. It's not over yet. But let us not say, well, I'm Baptist, I'm Methodist, I'm Lutheran, I'm Catholic, I'm Brethren, I'm Charismatic. Let us not say Presbyterian, Episcopal, whatever it is. Mennonite, whatever it is. Let us not say Church of Christ, Disciple of Christ. Let us not say, I am immune from judgment, because whatever, be sure your sin will find you out. God brings everything into judgment. And it's true, our sins are covered by the blood of Christ. It's also true, the Lord chastises those whom he loves. So we serve a holy God. We do. I'm going to end on that solemn note. We serve a holy God. So help us to walk today, Lord, in holiness before you, to be careful, circumspect about what we say and what we do. And like that message that I got, just love them, just love them. Help us to go in the love of God and love the people around us. If we will walk in love today before the Lord, everything else will just be details. Have a loving and lovely day. Have a great day, folks. Come back tomorrow. There's a lot more in the book of Isaiah. See you then. God bless.